We will now start the Foreign Ministers Conference. On the 6th, yesterday, in southeast part of Turkey, a large earthquake occurred, which led to many deaths and injuries in Turkey and in Syria and neighboring countries. Japanese government would like to express its sincere condolences to the families and to the injured. Representing the Japanese government, Prime Minister Kishida and I sent condolence message to President Erdogan and Foreign Minister Çavuşoğlu. In response to the request by Turkish government, yesterday on the 6th, we decided to dispatch the International Japan Disaster Relief Team for search and rescue of the missing people, and the first team departed last night. Japanese government will continue gathering information on the damage and examine the support based on Turkish government's needs.
If you have a question, please raise your hand, and if you are designated, please ask question after identifying your name and affiliation. NHK Iwasawa.
Iwasawa from NHK. So this is about Russian diplomacy. Today, 7th is the so no visa and the resumption of no visa exchange and the return of Northern Ireland. Now, regarding the Russian aggression to Ukraine, how do you plan to deal with this?
So as for Russian aggression of Ukraine, this is the reckless act that shakes the foundation of the international order, which cannot be condoned at all. Together with the international society, including G7, Japan has conducting diplomacy against Russia, and in order to stop Russian aggression of Ukraine, we will continue to take strong sanctions to Russia. At the same time, for example, in the issues of economic activities like fishing or safety of oceans, as for issues that Japan and Russia need to address as a neighboring country, we will take actions by considering what will be beneficial for the national interest of Japan. On the Northern Territory issues, after resolving the territorial issue, we want to conclude the peace treaty, and this diplomatic policy has not changed. And as for the resumption of the project for a visit to tombs in Northern Territory, this is one of the highest priority. So we hope that the resumption can be achieved as early as possible. That's the Japanese government wish. Tamamura-san of Hokkaido Shimbun. Hokkaido Shimbun, Tamamura. Earlier, you said it is one of the highest priority, that is resumption of paying visit to tombs in Northern Territory. Has Japanese government approaching Russia? And if not, what is the reason for not doing that?
So the for Northern Islands exchange program and the outlook, there is we're not in the situation to be able to talk about this at this point in time, unfortunately. On the other hand, we want to somehow meet the needs of the former residents who are becoming old, and so the resumption of the visit to the grave and the for Northern Islands exchange program, this remains as a priority item between Japan and Russia. This is a diplomatic interaction, so I would like to refrain from making any comments. But as Japanese government, we hope that this project will be resumed as soon as possible. Ueda-san from Kyodo News. Ueda from Kyodo. So about the suspected spy balloon of China, Blinken, State Secretary, postponed the visit on the 3rd. So how do you take this, and does this impact your visit to China?
On February 5th, the U.S. government announced on the shooting down of the high-altitude surveillance balloon launched by China. At any situation, it is not forgiven to violate the sovereignty of other country. This is the unallowable violation of sovereignty by China. And in order to protect the U.S. sovereignty and people's safety, they have taken careful actions, and that is explanation. And Japan understands that U.S. position fully. And it is important that China fulfill the accountability to the fullest extent. And as to my visit to China, at the Japan-China Foreign Ministerial Telephone Conference, Foreign Minister Qin Gang once again requested my visit to China, but nothing has been decided as of now. By considering various situations, we would like to continue to coordinate the appropriate timing. Asahi Shimbun Uechi-san. Asahi Shimbun Uechi, as you mentioned at the onset, I have a question about the earthquake in Turkey. In addition to the JDR, are there any concrete support of the Japanese government?
So the damage situation and Turkish government's needs will be taken into account, and will study the necessary support going forward. Takeuchi-san from Mainichi newspaper. Takeuchi from Mainichi. So about the derogatory remarks by the Secretary of the Prime Minister. So LGBTQ, the sexual minority, due to the derogatory remarks, he was fired. So the overseas media said that Japan does not allow the same-sex marriage, only country in G7, and is lagging behind in the minorities. So what do you think about the impact on G7 Hiroshima summit? And the legal legislation is now called for the ban of the derogatory remarks in same-sex marriage. What do you think about this?
Due to the sexual orientation or sexual identification, we should not have unjust prejudice or discrimination. We should respect the diversity, and everyone should respect the human rights and dignity of each other. And in order to realize such convivial society, the Japanese government will continue to take actions. Japanese government will serve as a G7 presidency this year, and we have to make efforts to explain these things in and outside of Japan continuously. As the foreign minister, I would like to fulfill that responsibility. Kyodo-tsushin, Ueda-san. Kyodo-tsushin, Ueda. Relating to that question, so LGBT discrimination prohibition law, G7 countries excluding Japan, it's been organized. What is the situation of other countries' situation? If you know, would you please share that?
So the initiatives in each country and our situation in Japan, circumstances differ from country to country, so it is difficult to compare this in general terms. But G7 countries other than Japan has some kind of law to ban the discrimination based on the sexual orientation or general gender identity, or have the same-sex marriage law or partnership system. This concludes the press conference. Thank you very much.